So now we're on Nun Gimel Amid Beis, and we want to know who is the father of Shlomo, so to speak, the great great grandfather of Shlomo, who's also called Yedid. Ben Yedid's Avram, Dirsiv, Mali Yedidi Bebesi. Okay, so this pasuk, Ma Yedidi Lebesi, which is in Yirmiyahu, is going to come up later on in the Sugya at the time of the Churban Abayis. Avram Avinu is there at the Makom HaChurban, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ma'ili Yedid B'Beisi, what are you doing over here? So we'll get to that later. And Yivne Yedid, Shlomo Melech, who's the Yedid and the son of Avram the Yedid, is going to build Yedid. Zeh Beis HaMikdash. How do we know that the Beis HaMikdash is called Yedid? That says, Ma Yedidus Mishkan Secha. And that's a pasuk again in Tillim Pei. Pei Dal. Leah did. Why is Shlomo Melech? For what purpose is he building the Beis Hamikdash? Zeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yedid is a reference to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shana Dechsiv Ashira No Liyedidi. And where is he going to? Where? And that's Pasuk Yishai. Okay, fine. And where is that Beis Hamikdash that's being built by Shlomo Melech? The Yedid ben Yedid for the sake of the Yedid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where is it being built? Bechelko Yedid, in the portion in Eretz Yisrael in Jerusalem of Binyamin. So Binyamin shenemar leVinyamin amar Yedid Hashem Yishkol levetach Om. And what's the ultimate goal and the benefit of building this Yedid? Yiskapru bo Yedidim, and the Yedidim is a reference to Eli Yisrael, the Ksiv Nasatis Yedidus Nafshi Bechaf Oivecha, which is a pasuk in Yirmiyahu. And basically we're saying that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be the greatest friend of the Yedidim, meaning of Klal Yisrael, because they'll achieve kapara for all their averos through the Beis HaMikdash, through the Avodas HaKorbanos. Absolutely brilliant. But we're not finished yet. Rabbi Ezra goes on. Yavo Tov, now the key word is Tov. V'yikabel Tov, mitov, litov. Yavo Tov ze Moshe d'chsiv atero so ki tov. Yikabel Tov ze Torah d'chsiv ki lekach tov nasati lachem. Mitov ze HaKadosh Baruch Hu d'chsiv tov Hashem lakol. Litovim elu liyisrael d'chsiv heitiva l'Hashem latovim. So basically, we're saying that Moshe is going to receive the Torah, and he's going to receive it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Tov, and he's going to give it over to the Tovim, and that's Klal Yisrael, and that's next. Yavo Zev Yikabel Zos Mizeh Le'amzu. Okay, now Rabbi Ezra is building on the word Zeh. Yavo Zeh, who is this person called Zev? Who is it alluding to? Zev Moshe D'chsiv ki Zev Moshe Ish. V'yikabel Zos min Torah. Right, it says Yavo Zev Yikabel Zos. Right, Zos is the feminine form of Zeh. And Zos is a reference to the Torah. D'chsiv is Zos HaTorah Shesam Moshe. Mi Zeh, from him. Who is Zeh? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. D'chsiv Zeh Kelim Yaveu. Li'amzu, for the benefit of this nation, Eli Yisrael. Shenemar amzu kanisi, the pasuk says in Shmos, Perek Tesvav, amzu kanisi. Now, if we go back to Yedid for a minute, as the Gemara is going to pick it up now, and we said that the word Yedid, as darshan by Rav Ezra, is referring to Avram, is called the Yedid because the pasuk Mali Yedid bebeisi. Rav Yitzchak, what is this Mali Yedidi bebeisi? B'shashachar beis hamikdash mitzau HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avram shaya omed bebeis hamikdash alom Ma Yedidi bebeisi. At the time of the Churban, HaKadosh Baruch Hu finds Avram, again metaphorically, standing in the Makom HaMikdash HaNechra. And the Jewish people are now being taken out to exile, to Golus. So God asks Avram Vinu, what's your purpose here? What are you doing here? The Mokum Hachur below Al Iske Banai Basi, which is really an introduction to Tefillah. And Avram Avinu is going to try very hard to pray on behalf of Klal Yisrael. Omar Lo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, well, you coming to pray on behalf of your people? Banecha, these are your children. And Chatu, they sinned, V'golo, and I sent them into Golos. So Avram Avinu is going to pray to Hashem. This is so reminiscent to the Parashat Vayira of Storm. Anyway, Shema b'shogeg Chatu. Omar Lo, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds. This is a pasuk somewhere, which I don't know exactly right now where it is. I think it's in Yomi, but I'm not sure. Aso sa hamizimasa. Gentlemen, can you tell me where that pasuk is? Maybe I'll look in the Torah, or just that there's so many psukim here. All right, I don't want to waste time right now. So anyway, the pasuk indicates that Hashem responds to Avram and saying, Mizimasa. Mizimasa is miloshen mezid. Mezid means they were deliberate. You can't tell me that they sinned b'shogeg. Amar lo shemami utam chatu. How do we know that most of the people of Israel were guilty of that deliberate sin? Amar lo harabim. God responded that the majority have sinned. You know what? I'm beginning to think that maybe this is not a pasuk. Asosa hamazimasa. What time is it? You know what? We have a minute. Let me just. What are we up to? We're up to Nun Gimel. It's a bit complicated, but give me a second. See if in the Masifta he tells you the wrong volume here. Just 1 minute. If it doesn't work, we'll drop it. So okay, finally got the right volume. He also doesn't quote any pasuk, any source. So my impression is that this is just part of the drasha of Rabbi Yitzchak, and it's a brand new formulation. That's what I think. Omlo Arabim and Avram Hayelchal Lizkar Bris Mila. So Avram says, you know what? Okay, the Rabbim sinned, but why not spare them because of the schus of Mila? Omalo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about Klal Yisrael, and once again, I think this is not a pasuk. Ubesar kodesh ya'avru me'alecha. That they took the sacred flesh and they passed away from you, meaning they did not do Mila. Omar Lo Savram prays and he says, Shema imim tanta lehem hayuchos b'tshuva. Give them a little time. Maybe they'll do tshuva. Omar Lo, Kodesh Baruch Hu responds, Ki ra'asechi oz ta'alozi. When you do evil, then you will rejoice. In other words, when they have times of enjoyment, they use it as opportunities for sinking deeper and deeper into evil rather than doing tshuva. Miyad hiniach yodav al rosho. I guess Avram at this point he's about to throw in the towel. Hayitzoek uboch, and he cries and he bangs his head. V'yomer shemach has v'sholom englim takona. God, are you telling me that there's no remedy for them? They're going to be destroyed? Is there no future for my children? And they will remain in exile and not merit the messianic redemption? Yotza baskol v'yomer zayis ranon yofe pri toar kora Hashem shmecha. So now the people of Israel are being compared to an olive tree, to a zayis ra'anon. Ra'anon apparently means it's full of leaves, it's beautifully grown, it takes a long time, but ultimately it's beautiful. Mazai so achriso b'sofa, right? If you give the olive tree time, then at the end it will reach its point of destiny, meaning it'll be fully beautiful, fruity. He says it'll bear fruit, he says here. That an olive tree does not bear fruit until long, long after it's been planted. But later, it bears abundant fruit. Maybe it is a pasuk. I'm sorry. This is really bothering the heck out of me. It does seem like a pasuk. I think maybe this is all in Tehillim 17. Ah, I finally found it. I guess I missed it. Sorry. He says the Gemara is interpreting each phrase of two psukim in Yirmiyahu. That's one pasuk, and then the next pasuk says Zayis Ranan Yefei Pri Toar Kara Hashem Shmech Kol Hamula. Again, we're going to get to darshan all this. Gidol Yitzis Eish Olev Ra'u Doli Yosov. Okay, now I'm a little bit more calm because I missed this one footnote, and the entire Gemara that we're learning with Rav Yitzchak is all an interpretation of two psukim that are one after the other in Yirmiyah Perek Yud Aleph, psukim Tezvav and Tezayin. Okay, so anything I said before that these were made up words, I'm embarrassed to, but please erase that from the record. Okay. We go on in the pasuk. L'kol hamula. What does hamula mean? Some sort of commotion. Gidola, great commotion. Hitzis eish aleha. He set fire to it, obviously referring to the Beis Hamikdash. V'ro dol Yosef, and its branches were broken. Omer Reb Chanina bar Papa. L'kol, what is the sound here that's indicated hamula? Milehem shel meraglim, the words of the meraglim. Nisra'u d'liosein shel Yisrael, the branches of Israel were broken. The Omer Reb Chanina bar Papa, Dover Gadol Dibru meraglim bi osa shah. They said a terrible thing at that time, and we're going to see that the meraglim brought the Jewish people to blasphemy. Ki chazak hu mimenu. The meraglim said that the people who occupy Canaan are too powerful for us. Al tikri mimenu, don't read it as if they were saying that they're more powerful than we are, meaning the people of Israel, but mimenu, they're more powerful than him, kaviyachol, afilu balabais, and yochol ahotzi kelov misham. Even the master of the world cannot take his utensils out of them, meaning that was blasphemy. Maskif lo Rab Chia bar Berebi Chinina, Hi lekol hamula gedola. If you're correct, then it shouldn't have said hamula, but it should have said lekol mila mi boile. The great sound of a word, of a single word, mila. So what's hamula? Ella, but rather, what's the pasuk referring to? Amalek Kadosh Baruch Hu Avram, kolcha shamati v'chamalti alehem. I did have mercy on the Jewish people as a result of your call. Ani amarti ishtavdu bi'arba malchios, kol achas v'achas b'shir arba malchios. In other words, the Gzera at the Bris Bein HaMesarim was that there'd be four Malchios, four exiles, four kingships, into which the Klal Yisrael would go into, and each one would be not the amount of years that they should have been, but rather we're going to take all four Golios. Let's say it's supposed to be 50 years in each Golos, and we're going to multiply that by four, and it'll be 200 years of Golos for each one of those Golios. That was the original Gzera. But Hashta, now that you have beseeched me with your prayers, then kol chada v'chada ma'ida posically. We're going to go back to the original Gzera, and it's going to be 50 years for each one of the Golos. Again, I'm just making up the number 50. Ike Diamri, another version of Hashem's response to Avram's prayers. Ani amarti b'zecher zeh, achshav vasachas. This I find very difficult, vasachas. Initially, it was decreed that all four kingdoms would dominate the Jewish people at the same time. Oh, 1 second. Achshav. Oh, I see. So it means there was 1, 2, and 3, right? Roman numeral 1 was that the original Gzera of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was that all these Golios would take place simultaneously. There'd be Jews in Persia, there'd be Jews in Rome, and so forth and so on. Then the decree intensified because the Jewish people were continuing to do sin and they didn't do tshuva. And Hashem said, you know what? I'm going to put the full brunt of Golus and all the Golios bevasachas in one moment, in one period of time. And if that be the case, then there's a real chashash that maybe the Jewish people would be completely destroyed. But now that Avram pleaded to Hashem, so God went back to the original Gzera that there be subsequent and successive Golios in different areas of the world. Rabbi Shuben Levi, what was that equation that we had that Klal Yisrael is called a leafy olive tree? Right? So there's never a point, apparently, when the Zayis will be completely gone of all of its leaves. And so to Klal Yisrael will never be completely nullified, whether it be in this world and in the next world. What's the comparison, the metaphor to Zayis? Oh, this is not such a happy drasha. Ma Zayis, Eino Motzi Shamno. How do you get the oil out of the olives? Is Elay Ksisa. You have to crush the olives. Af Yisrael ein chozrin lemutav Elay Yisurin. They'll have to suffer and be crushed in order to do tshuva. That's not good news, and we hope that they do tshuva. That's the question. Okay, now we get back to Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Yehuda about how to do the fermenting in the cases of those two menachos that require chametz. Rabbi Meir was the one who said hasior. This is not seor, not to be confused with the whole sugi we had about seor. Now we're talking about sior. Sior is like a sourdough that they put in to help and speed up the process of leavening. Is bodel lahem mitochan machmitzam. In other words, you take out a little bit of the from the soles in the original weighing of the soles, and you put it through a process day after day until it finally becomes sior, meaning sourdough, and then we put it back into the kli. Rabbi Yehuda says no. He would prefer that take the sourdough not from the solus itself, but rather from some external source. And then after it becomes sior, I mean externally, then you put it into the mixture. And the Gemara says that there's a problem both according to Rabbi Meir and even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that somehow it's going to end up with you have either less than the isaron that you need or more than the isaron you need. Ma'ich hasera, you say, what does it mean? Rav Chizda, isas hasior ava, if in the case that they added only a little bit of water to the dough in order to make it into sior, and then the sior gets very thick, is nimtzeis yisera midas ha'isara. I guess it means that it's so thick that they're going to add extra, extra solace. Raka, if on the other hand they add lots of water and they make the sourdough into like a loose kind of a cake, that's called raka, nimtzeis chasera. Then it'll be the isaron measurement will be deficient, and the isaron has to be exactly precise. So the Gemara asks sof ki koil li saron kol koil. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he's going to measure out the flour with the sourdough, whether it comes inside or outside. It doesn't make any difference. He's going to measure it all out into this vessel that's used as a midah to determine that it's an isaron, and he'll come up with the exact isaron. And Rabbi Yossi Amri Travayu, they answer that, look, l'kamosha hein hoisa misharin. So we assess the contents of the measuring vessel as they have been before any water was added, and therefore if they add the sourdough, if it's too dense or too loose, that's going to distort the precise measure of the mincha, because they assess the contents of the mincha before they added any water. Fact the Gemara, with this we'll end it. V'lishkol purta minei v'lechamtze mi'abroi. Why not just measure it out as an isaron of soles, then take out a bit of flour and leaven it externally, v'leisei v'nechush b'adei, and then take the leavening bit of dough, meaning the dough itself, knead it together with the flour, and nobody suggested this, not Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara answers, Gzera Dilma Osi La Suye Me Alma, that the rabbis were afraid to allow this alternative because they were concerned that people might mistakenly come to bring sourdough from elsewhere, add it to the flour of a mincha that's already been measured, and this would increase the measurement of the mincha and therefore invalidate it. So that leads us to Tanu Rabbanan.